And we are live. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 277. And I have the absolute honor here of sitting down with not only the head trainer at the Three Legacies Pro Wrestling Academy, he is the owner of Three Legacies Wrestling, El Gran Locutor, one of the best voices, especially of my generation of pro wrestling. He is Jesus Ricardo Rodriguez. Good morning. How's it going, man?
Buenos dias. Thank you very much. First of all, I dig that intro music. That was really
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you so much.
That's the
Thank
first time
you.
I heard it, and actually, that's really cool.
No, thank
Kudos.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, definitely, definitely. Especially as this will be kicking off, especially by the time I post this, this will be kicking off the grand Three Legacies Week, as we're going to be having a lot of amazing talent, a lot of amazing personalities coming on to promote all things Three Legacies Wrestling, as we will be days away from the huge Red Rose Rumble 2 event here. But before we get into all that, before especially we get into Three Legacies Wrestling, I have to ask you the question I ask everyone that comes on. You heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So for you, when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you?
So that's a very wide question with a very wide answer. So it can go many different ways. Is obviously respecting the people that come before you, respecting the tradition of professional wrestling, of this craft. But also, in order to respect it, you have to understand its history, and also being able to understand it, meaning that everything has to evolve, and we have to constantly keep growing with it. So being able to adapt, respecting the changes that come along with something that progressively keeps moving forward. Um, yeah, you caught me off guard with this question, so I'm just trying to like get it in as smooth as possible.
It's so
But no,
good.
but also too at the same time is I guess spreading awareness to folks who are not familiarized with it, so they can also learn to respect it. In the last 2 years that I've been here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I've met on this venture a lot of people who have no concept of it. They only know what they see on TV, and then they think that they can do it, or that it's something that's simple until they actually get in the ring and they realize it's a lot harder than they thought. Um, there's no way of faking gravity. So once I figure that out, I'll let you guys know. Um, but yeah, it's understanding and just educating yourself on what we do and the toll it takes, not just physically but mentally, and to have a better understanding, because people will tend to judge on things that they don't understand, um, or things that they fear. And yeah, so that's a very wide. It has a lot of wide answers on that one.
No, definitely.
Um,
That's I like the question just because it definitely it opens for conversation. You know, it opens to see depending on the perspective. There's a lot of people that have when they think about it. Usually my go-to is that also having that respect for those that have come before you and those that have paved the way to create again this amazing craft that we love, and again seeing that evolution and see the constant growth of
right,
what the
right.
business and the whole as a whole.
Yeah, and then obviously with that is understanding too. The big key part of it is you can't have the present without having realized what the past was.
Definitely.
Um, is wrestling different than what it was before? Of course, but you'll always get a lot of those folks that back in my day, folks, and it's annoying because we don't live back in the day anymore.
Yeah.
And not just in wrestling, just in general.
No, of course.
So yeah, it's an ever evolving industry, and we have to move with it, or we get left behind. Um,
No, definitely, definitely. So with that being said, I definitely want to get into here Three Legacies Wrestling and just start from the beginning here. What was it for you that made you decide, especially moving to Lancaster? What was it that was like, you know what? Let's start something fresh here. Not only a school, but also a whole promotion as well.
the very first promo that I ever did in regards to Three Legacies Wrestling, in it, I had mentioned the one of the symbolisms of the Three Legacies was acknowledging the past, the present, and the future. Um, so that's part of it. So that's a huge key component in all of this, is understanding the past, realizing what we have now in the present, and then setting the stage for future talent to be able to grow and explore, and be able to, for me at least, to be able to to have a platform for these individuals to utilize, to grow, and then eventually go on to bigger and better things. That's what this is. It's a stepping stone. It's a platform for them to jump off of, so they can go into bigger things. So while we have this, use it, utilize it. Um, I understand too that I'm towards the end of my in ring career. I get that, and I'm totally cool with it. I'm a lot older now and beat up, and one thing that I wish I would have done was taking better care of myself, and I didn't. So I'm paying for it now. But I understanding that aspect of it, that my in ring is slowing down, and I totally get that. I've come to terms with it. This is what I do now, and this, I've opened up a different avenue for myself to still remain in the industry and then be able to give back to those that are going to be, coming forward and then moving forward and then doing something with themselves. um, but I've been very grateful that for the last 18 years, this month is 18 years for me.
Oh wow, congratulations on that.
Ugh. Yeah, yeah. uh, so 18 years for me, and I've been very grateful that before I was even in WWE, I was helping run training schools. Um, in California, I was helping out, at Knox Pro. That was Rikichi school. So I was helping out in the evenings with either Black Pearl or Orlando Jordan, um, and then I was also helping out at another spot, create a character. I think that's what it's called. Sorry, build a character. I don't remember. In Chatsworth, and I was Ryan Katz's, who actually works with WWE Creative now.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Gotcha.
so I was helping run that for a little while, and then after, when I was with WWE, I was helping Norman Smiley and down in FCW at FCW NXT, and then on the main roster, I was with William Regal and Goldust, who were either helping out the girls or the tryouts that were coming in. So that was part of my gig. When towards the end of my time with WWE, I was helping run other classes in Orlando, Florida. Eventually, I kind of moved into Pro Wrestling 2.0, which belonged to Alex Porto in Orlando, and I was helping run that for like 2 years or so. Maybe it was like 2 years. Um, when I left Orlando, I ended up going to San Antonio, Texas, and I was helping out at Hybrid Pro Wrestling, which Chris Marvel and Funaki have this amazing thing going on right now, and I definitely recommend people check out Hybrid Pro Wrestling over at in San Antonio, Texas, because they have something beautiful. But I was very grateful that I was a part of that for like 2 years as well. When I in between all that, though, I went out to India, and I lived in India for like 6 months. I opened up a wrestling school for the Great Khali. So the Great Khali opened up a school over there. I was running it, and I was there for 6 months. By the time that I left India, we had ran one big tour, and it was a three-tour event. Yeah, a three-event tour. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Uh, the
Yeah.
very first one that we did, we had about 22,000 people. The second one that we did was about 50 some thousand. And the last one that we ran, it was only because it was pouring rain. We only drew 11,000, about 11,000.
Just 11,000.
Just only, right, yeah.
Like throwing
Um,
that number just
but
like
what was nice about stuff like that was that there was no independent scene prior to our time there.
oh, okay.
WWE had not been to India in about 14 years, and because of my constant nagging and stubbornness of posting stuff online, it got at least I want to say it got the attention. I've heard from people in the office that that's what did it, but nobody's ever like officially told me. But anyways, in my head, I told myself, because of our constant posting of what we were doing and what we were building and all that stuff over there. Um, WWE ended up going to India after 14 years. TNA went as well, and that was something cool. Now in India, there's an independent scene. It's not massive, huge or anything, but there's an independent scene which did not exist back then. So I was a part of that. When I left there, I did time in Australia, I did time in England, and then during the COVID years, I tried to go. Well, I tried to open up in Cairo for about a year. Um, Unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, it was constant start, stop. So we didn't get a chance to do much as I had hoped. Um, and it's a shame, but yeah, there's a huge, massive market for wrestling out there in the Arabic countries, man. It's beautiful area, and I loved it, and I wish I could go back just to at least visit. And then eventually here, when I ended up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, it came to a thing where I met my now business partner, Chris Dreisbach, and I had told my story, and then he's like, "Well, why don't you just open up your own?" And here we are.
I was gonna say, and then the rest.
No, and I've been grateful. I've been grateful that like I've been able to help run many different schools, and but none of them were ever mine, right? So to have this under my own banner is something that I'm very proud of, and I'm very excited and happy, and like I said, ultimately give a platform for a lot of these guys to be able to have something to showcase and to live their dream. And that's the most beautiful, satisfying thing of being able to see some of the students when they go out and then they're yeah, they're probably stressed or nervous at the time, but like when they come back and then they realize like, man, I'm doing this. That's cool when they see their names and their pictures on flyers, um and when you see that, when you see everything that you've explained to them click in their heads, that's such a beautiful moment. And I'm very grateful for all that. So here we are, Three Legs is Resting 2 years later. It's gonna be 2 years in August that I got my keys to the location. September is when we had our first event. Um, and then yeah, it's been a constant growth, and one that I'm very proud of what we're doing and what we're able to accomplish, all as a unit. So it's pretty cool.
No, that is awesome to hear. And I was going to bring up as well, just hearing this, uh, just teaching and being able to coach that next crop is always, it seems
Yeah.
very important to you, which is crazy to think you're doing this, especially in the midst of still being in your in ring career. It was one of those that it's like, it just clicked to want to help and do this and touch so many markets of, again, possibly untapped talent, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was really cool in retrospect too. Just during my time with WWE, also what I did was, I used to work with the tryouts, so it wasn't just a Ricardo thing that I was doing. I was doing backstage stuff. I was doing commentary in Spanish, and most importantly, my favorite part was I would sit with Regal as he was talking to the extras. So I learned that speech like left and right, back and forth, and upside down and in reverse or whatever. Um, but I was also helping out guys that needed more time in the ring. They would put me with them. They would put me with some of the extra talent that was there to have matches so they can be seen. And like I said, I would just sit with Regal and I would just listen to him and I would pay attention. And also too, on the other aspect of things too, when I was just sitting there, I would watch the ring crew and then I would pay attention. I would pay attention to how they would set up the sound system, the music. I would go and talk to Ellis, our stunt guy. Um, I would go and then just chat with the timekeeper. I would go and talk with the guys that were setting up the commentary table just to kind of understand stuff. And I did that once because we did a pay per view and they crashed our table because it's a Spanish commentary table, of course, right? So they crashed it, and then my audio went out, so I couldn't talk, so I was out, and it was something early, and then by the time that the next thing came around, there wasn't a lot of time for them to come and try and fix it because it was just quick. It was bang, bang, bang. So
Yeah,
then
still in the
after that, I went and I talked to the audio guy that was setting up the table, and I was like, "Hey, teach me how to like hook it back up if in case we would get disconnected or whatever. I know how to hook it back up." So then he taught me, which wasn't anything crazy, but like I didn't know what wires. There's so many wires going around.
yeah, yeah.
I don't want to touch the wrong one, whatever. So he taught me that kind of thing. So just like learning those little aspects, I think was also very important and crucial in retrospect that I'm able to kind of pass on to these guys so they learn how to wear different hats. Um, and it's not just the in ring because unfortunately, I mean, and it happens. Um, and we also don't want it to end abruptly, but it happens sometimes in wrestling where stuff just it doesn't click or injuries happen and you can't do it anymore. So then but you still want to be around it. So you want to find different ways to kind of still stick around. And this is just one of those things that I was very grateful that I paid attention to all the little details as much as possible, that I'm able to kind of utilize now when I'm running my own shows and I can tell the guys, hey, do this, do this. Because I'm telling you from experience. So that's how I can relate to you guys is via experience.
Yeah. No, and it's perfect too to be able to teach that, to have multiple hats, because it's one of those things where there's always going to be a need for something in this business. There's always something like now I've been lucky to find that niche in I do commentary now both in English but also offer it in Espanol.
Yeah,
Thanks to a friend of mine showing me that hey, there is an opportunity for this. And now, at least especially in New York, there wasn't much of Spanish commentary. So
yeah,
now I offer that service, and it's one of those where that opens another door of hey, this
yeah.
is something to fill in.
No, absolutely, 100%, totally 100%. There's been times where, and then I didn't pay attention to it much at the time. It wasn't until after the fact. So when I was doing Spanish commentary, there's a lot of little details that like Carlos Cabrera would do with us, because he would have the earpiece with the truck. We didn't, so he would communicate with us. And one thing that I always appreciated, I always tell the guys, so because obviously we don't have the earpiece of the truck. He does. He will communicate us by touching our hands or like tapping us with a pen or his hand or whatever. So like if he felt that we were talking too much, he would like tap us in the hand. Or if he was talking and he wanted to tell one of us to jump in, he would tap us. Um, and then also too like when to slow it down, he would give us like little signals. But I learned a lot of that too, and then because obviously he's the one that had the earpiece, so he can hear them in the back. But I learned a lot from Carlos too, and just how he would narrate and the highs and the peaks and the valleys or whatever. But because of that though, and then just learning it, doing it in Spanish, I've had amazing opportunities over in California with Dave Marquez, doing commentary in Spanish. I've done commentary for other sports in Spanish. Currently, right now, I go down to Boca Raton Championship Wrestling in Boca Raton, Florida, uh, once every month or so, and I do Spanish commentary over there. So right, so just having versatility is super important.
Definitely does. Again, it's one of those where it does open the opportunities to many things. Again, shout out to my good friend Isaac here, who runs VXS, has offered me that opportunity to do Spanish commentary, which I will be doing at their next event. So definitely stay
Awesome.
tuned to that announcement because something special is happening there with that match.
Good, good, good. Awesome, man. Yeah.
But as we continue here, I want to get back to Three Legacies. But for you, how has that been seeing not only the growth of the school now, but seeing the growth of the events? Because again, this event right here coming up on August 3rd, just looking at the poster alone, just a stacked just roster of again showing those three legacies of past, present, and future here. So many amazing talent. They're going to be in that building.
Man, I'm beyond excited for all this. Honestly, it's the first year that we did it. We kind of went into with hopes and dreams, and we're still going into with hopes and dreams. But now with experience, so now we have a little bit more of data from last year of how we approached it and how we can improve it for this year. I'm very grateful that this one is a lot more. There's a lot more Three Legacies Wrestling Academy influences in it. There's more students are involved, who and several of them are already wrestling on the independent scene. Just Jay, Al Snook, Mikey Austin, one of our referees, our very lovely and amazing Zoe Cannon, she's been making her rounds and she's been killing it. So I'm very excited for that. There's gonna be a couple more new debuts from the academy that are gonna be coming out during the Red Bulls Rumble match. We will also have current stars with Three Legacies Wrestling that are going to be being showcased. Bro Keller, who was the main event of last year, where he won the original, the very first 3LW Heavyweight Championship. We have Tarzan Duran, who's going to be facing Ken Anderson. JS Hawthorne, our current champion. South Philly's finest, who, if you haven't had a chance to see them, they are awesome. They will be challenging the Three Legacies Wrestling World tag team champions in Dog Nation, because Dog Nation just came back from Chile. They were in South America defending the titles, and then like a month prior they were in South Korea defending the titles over there, and like 2 weeks prior, whatever it was, they were down in Texas defending the titles. So they're making their rounds, and I'm very proud to say that we definitely have world tag team championships, that they've been defended in 3 different continents at this point. That's pretty cool.
No, that is awesome to hear and to see again what that reach has now been, and just seeing the growth, like you said, having now members of the Three Legacies Academy now being a part of this and getting showcased and now making their rounds as well. We will be speaking to many of those same amazing students next week on the podcast here, and just getting to hear their stories and how they feel, especially getting these amazing opportunities now.
Yeah, and then also too, like what's you mentioned earlier about like the growth and just how fast this has come up. And if you talk to, I mean, Smiley was there relatively early in what we had going on, and he wasn't there from the very first show that we did, but he came in like shortly after, so he was there for a lot of it too. You'll speak with Al Snook. I think you have him coming up, Al Snook, and
Yeah.
he was there from the beginning. Bro Keller was there from the beginning. Um, yeah, he's probably the only one that you have coming up that's been on all of them. Um, and so he's been a part of it. He's seen the growth and just being able. And this is the nice thing about it was kind of what I mentioned earlier, how this is going to grow and it's going to evolve, and we have to grow with it or we get left behind. While it can be stressful, and then I'm telling you, it's stressful as all hell. Um, this whole weekend is just in itself, and right now we're recording on a Monday. But this whole weekend, the last month has just been nonstop as we're prepping for the Red Rose Rumble. But also too, the inquiry of students has vastly grown, and just to see the the interest in pro wrestling in this area has been amazing because there hasn't been anything around in a couple of years. Not to say that there isn't anything around, but I'm saying um, there are local companies around the area. But I am proud of what we built, and I do say that I don't. And in all due respect to all the other companies around the area, but I think we are different in certain aspects, and we're building something and then that's the beautiful thing. We're building something for all of us to enjoy, and for all of us to grow together. Um, because if we succeed, then many other people that are with us are going to succeed. Not just in the wrestling industry, but all the sponsors that we have coming up. A lot of them are local businesses. They're local businesses that they grow with us. So we have a food chain that's with us, Aruga's. It's a restaurant. We always go there after the show, so obviously they benefit from that as well too. Kingdom Exterminating is another local business that we have a great relationship with. Building Character is another local business that we have a great relationship with, and they do a lot of our stuff. Um, so it's a matter of growing and building and building together, and as our little slogan goes, building our legacy. And then because there's plenty of room for all of us to eat at the table. um, and but it's been just nonstop grow. It's been nonstop growing, and then the hard part, which is a good problem to have, is a matter of keeping up with it. um, when you have very limited resources, it can get very tiring. It can get very tiring and stressful. But we're going at it, and um, I'm happy with what we're building.
No, that is awesome to hear. And it's also one of those where I've been looking at the schedule and seeing like you guys, it's nonstop as well, where it's like you would think, oh, just getting ready for this huge event. But it's one of those where no, multiple things are being planned out, even as you get ready for the Red Rose Rumble too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, even like for instance, June 29th was the first show of 6 shows that we had for the summer, for in 6 weeks. So we had 6 shows in 6 weeks. And it's been great. And this is ultimately what I wanted. So it's one of
Yeah.
those like careful what you wish for type things.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm grateful that even now, as I'm prepping for the Red Rose Rumble, like I'm also working on a couple other projects that involve obviously 3LW, and then 3LW Rise, which is our version of our NXT, our developmental.
Ooh.
Um, so we have some stuff that we have coming up this weekend at the Lebanon area fair. We're having a 3LW Rise event with the students of the academy, and that's for them to kind of get reps and kind of get the experience in front of a live audience, with smaller production and all that stuff. But I mean, all that stuff is on our YouTube. But they get to learn the small little aspects and the nuances of working TV. Um, so I'm great. I'm very proud for that. And then on August 6th, we have another one. It's like 3 days right after the Rumble, right? So it's just nonstop. And following that, which I'm not going to say yet because we're still working on it. Like I'm working in between of all this stuff of something bigger for that's going to be for 3LW Rise, as we potentially take this on the road. So just like I said, just nonstop meetings, and then just growing and just building, and while at the same time we're building that. Um,
which is again insane because in the midst of that as well, you are still doing again the training at the academy. You're still doing your own thing as well with taking bookings and taking events,
and
and
then
just
the hardest thing sometimes is life. Life comes at you.
that is also something that again I have to commend you for because doing all of this, that insane schedule, taking all this, and again just putting on the multiple hats and making sure it all goes
Yeah,
without a hitch.
and then life just comes boom. But I mean, also, I mean, that's something that I tell the guys too. Here is like the moment that we walk through those doors, like all that, put it out, leave it out.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, for those couple hours that we're busy, we forget about it and we worry about this because ultimately I want to make sure that I'm focused on this because we are a business and we have to keep our emotions out of it sometimes. Um, but no, but it's been nonstop. It's just nonstop, and I'm grateful for where it's going. And I keep telling myself that this is gonna pay off, and it's gonna pay off. So yeah, it's just constant growth, and I'm super happy and excited for everybody that's involved with this because we can all benefit. Um, so it's cool, man.
no, it's awesome to see as well. Like I said, that growth, just seeing it even from the outside, seeing that amazing growth, seeing the interest there. Like I found out through again, Smiley is one of my best friends. Getting to see him, just how much he's talked about and raved about how amazing the company is, and this is from the earlier days of it. Seeing now just what it's become, it's like okay, yeah, there's definitely something special there. And I'm not just saying that because you're here with me, but just you see it. Like it's one of those where you see the growth, you see just how much people are talking about it. You see again the pairings where I even thank you because I know I can imagine he's thanked you so much of the opportunity of him getting to face one of his dream matches in Delirious in there. Like
Yeah,
seeing that, not only getting to face him, but then team with him at one point, and then team with yourself as well as the Agents of Chaos. I know he's just getting to have that fun again in the business, you know?
I'm definitely happy and grateful to have somebody like Smiley as part of us. The value that he has brought to Three Legacies is priceless, honestly. And then to see the smiles in the kids' faces at every show when he pulls them out and they do the lap around the ring is that's the stuff that we're made for, right? It's building memories, creating memories that for those kids it's gonna be everlasting. There's this kid. He goes by the name of Smirk. He went and he ordered Smiley gear. So he comes to the shows in the mask and the pants, the shirt, right? But ultimately, that's what we are. We're kind of like in a weird kind of a weird way, like real life superheroes to some of these folks, and it's awesome because we're creating a memory that's gonna last in them forever. Um, and also what's nice too, and then I'm sure that they'll tell you too, is you see a lot of families come together for this event, and not just like in for us. I mean, just in general in wrestling, because I meet a lot of folks that they'll say, oh, I used to watch wrestling with my grandpa. I used to watch great wrestling with my tío, my aunt, my uncle. I used to go to wrestling events back in the day with my dad, right? So stuff like that. That to me is so important because obviously if these individuals have these memories from back when they were kids with their parents going to old WWF shows or even local events, then we're building something for these kids that they can say 20, 30 years later that they used to go watch wrestling in Lancaster with their parents or their aunt or their uncle, grandpa, cousin, whatever. And ultimately that's what we're doing, and then Smiley's a big part of that because he gets them involved, and I'm very grateful that he's a part of it.
No, yeah, that's always something we've talked about. Like there's something with it that is just that connection. Like you said, it's one of those where even like I said, that's how it got me hooked seeing wrestling, and it was same type of story watching it with my dad, watching it there as a young kid, and it just something hooks you. And
Hmm.
he's one of those guys that when it's especially at the live events, it's something about him that it's like, oh, it just connects, especially with the kids. The kids love him. They get that reaction. They want to wear the mask. They want to be a part of it. And that's the biggest thing because it creates that moment. Like you said, even when for those at the show, you forget about life for a second. You get to just enjoy and get immersed in the magic and the art of it all.
And ultimately, just we get to we get to create emotions within them, and we get to like make and then not necessarily dictate, but we show them and tell them how to feel, which is awesome. Um, and ultimately, that's what we want to do is get a reaction out of them in the best possible way to our best of our abilities. We want them to feel happy. We want them to feel excited. We want them to feel either angry if we're the villain. We want them to hate us. We want them to cheer the good guy. Um, and ultimately, at the end of the night, we want them to go home happy and want them to come back.
Oh, definitely so. But also, a big thing, like you said, wanting to have the community together, wanting to have everyone grow. As announced again at the time of this recording last night on Damas y Caballeros, we had this very special announcement here. As another special guest for the event will be none other than Miss Pennsylvania from 2023, Suzanne Ewing here. Um, Talk us about this, how important it is to, again, have those community connections into an event like this.
I was very grateful to have been a part of several WrestleManias between 2000 and I don't remember what years I was there, but during the time that I was with WWE, obviously I did several WrestleManias, and to see how much of growth can happen within the city of whatever city that WrestleMania was in, or a SummerSlam. Um, that I realized, like, man, that could be something big. That could be something, crucial or important for the community. So, and I go back to all of us have. There's room for all of us to grow. So to have a selfish perception is greedy, and it's not a good thing to have. So if all of us can grow out of this and benefit from it, that's great. I will be the very first to admit that before I even knew what Lancaster was, and I looked it up, all I thought was farms. That's it. That's all I knew. That's all I figured. Um, but it wasn't until I came here and I had to explore a little bit that I realized this is an actual city. There's art, there's food, there's music, there's life here. There's because again I didn't know. So and then through this, we've gotten a chance to open people's minds as far as what this area is, um, and if we can help this community grow so that there's more of a touristic sense of feel to it, I'm all for it because we can all benefit from it, and then make this a big event every year. What's nice about, for instance, we've brought in people from Canada, from Georgia, obviously, and these are just fans from surrounding areas who have never been here before, and for them to come and say, "Hey, oh, hey, we went over to downtown, we went to the Southern Market, and that was kind of cool." It was like, "Oh, awesome." We went over to this store that it was like Amish woodwork. Oh, cool, awesome. Right, so we hear stuff like that, and it's awesome. Um, and I ultimately that's what I want. I want this whole thing to grow, and then that's having somebody like Susan Ewing be a part of this is big because something a chat that I had with her about was um, having her just kind of welcome everybody to Lancaster, having her come in and welcome them to Pennsylvania if they're coming from out of state. Which Lancaster is very close to the border of several states, so people will be coming in because we can check on the ticket sales of where people are buying them from. So we have people that are coming in from different states. So having that sense of friendly welcome to the area is important, and also too we both have a lot of deep connections with the community, so that also helps a lot too. And we'll be working together on other projects down the road. So this is a great way for her to get introduced to wrestling, um, and then for our audiences to get introduced to her. So I'm very excited to have her be a part of it, and she's going to be a great host alongside Mike Miller, who is from iHeartRadio, uh, who was a great host last year. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So I welcome Susan to be a part of us.
No, that is awesome there. And again, it's showing what it can be done when people work together and
Right.
having that mentality of not just, oh, let me do it for myself and just be greed and do this. Because it can be easy. Again, like I said, the stacked event right here. You have so many names coming into this, the TJPs, the Mr. Andersons, the La Resistance. You got Blue Meanie coming in.
Dark boy,
And then
man.
you have so much there that it's like, you know what, we could just do it. But no, having that community affair and having so many amazing companies, as you can see in the bottom of that poster right there. And again, having communities that it's like it's the small local businesses as well. Doing something like that, that again, it helps out everyone is
Mhm.
amazing to see, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Brand awareness is very important too, and getting logos and names being constantly seen gets you familiarized with them.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of stuff around here that I didn't know was a thing until I constantly see their advertisements. I was like, oh, let me try it or let me check it out, and then a lot of them I fell in love with, and then I go back to it. But obviously, had I not seen or been aware of that, I wouldn't have tried it. Um, so that's where a lot of that stuff comes in too, just kind of the constant brand awareness and seeing the logo everywhere. Like the other day, I was out and about flyering and I had my shirt on, and then people recognized the logo before they recognized me, and that was cool because I'm totally okay with, obviously totally okay with that. But they recognize the logo. It's like, oh, the wrestling thing, and then they look up and they're like, oh, the wrestling guy. But they recognize the logo, right? So right, so just the constant brand awareness.
Yeah. No, and that's the perfect thing. It truly is. It's that marketing 101, having it seen, because once it's seen and it keeps becoming a thing, it's a reoccurring. It's like it comes to connect. It's like, okay, yeah, you see that, which it's great though. It shows you how much, again, that hard work has started to pay off, you know?
Right, right, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Which is crazy though, because I also wanted to bring this up when it comes to that Red Rose Rumble, that you would think, especially with all that you're doing for it, everything that comes to promoting it, producing it here, you would think, okay, he's going to take the back seat that night, maybe just do the meet and greet. No, you are also competing on that night, which after post the homecoming event here, after unfortunately not successful against
Yeah.
JS Hawthorne, we find out that you will be entering at number one.
Yeah,
And
not my choice. Not my choice. So I've had this little gripe with these individuals. Many years ago, there used to be this company in the area called Lancaster Championship Wrestling,
okay,
and they used to be this owner fella. We'll just call him the perfect owner because that's yeah. Anyways, um, and he had an assistant that I was not aware of. And then I've taken blame for this before, where because of the busyness and also a side note that we can get into later is I work for MLW as a TV producer and talent. But between that and everything else going on, the promoting the school, the life, um, I was given some paperwork. I forgot to read it, and I just signed it, and I screwed up. So that's my bad. And then I ended up kind of giving have some control to the LCW, and yep, that's kind of how that came about. I just wanted to enjoy the show, man. I just want to sit back, watch it, everything that we worked for, just enjoy it. But no, these two, um,
yeah.
yeah,
Now we're here. Now we're here,
that was
starting the
it.
rumble here with again so many amazing talent, but then starting at the number one position. Which again, I know yourself, you still again have been killing it at Three Legacies, been doing your thing. Again, you were at moments so close of winning the Three Legacies Wrestling Championship there, but unfortunately, again, now you have an opportunity again here. If you can win this, that puts you in that contention. But yeah, number one is
It's a tough one.
suelte, amigo, suelte.
Gracias. No, it's a tough one, but yeah, no, and then also something that we announced last night was that for the first time that we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting off with three individuals, just kind of represent the three legacies. So instead of having a traditional two people start, three people are going to start, and then so I'm number one, Karen Murphy is number two, and then Zoe Cannon is number three. She got drawn. We drew the numbers yesterday. Um, so Zoe Cannon will be the third entrant before we officially start the Rumble. There'll be 16 individuals on this one, and yeah, we'll see what happens. And that's gonna be the opening. That's gonna be the opening match.
Oh, there you go. That is insane to see the start of it there, but also three amazing competitors start. Yourself, you got that, and Zoe, who definitely a lot of promise. I've seen a lot of her, and hopefully we also will be joined by her next week on Three Legacies Week.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll
That
be,
was
we'll be
great.
making that happen. But no, now again, we've talked so much about again the amazing company, the amazing school. I do want to talk a little bit before we let you go here about yourself and the work that you've been doing. Like you mentioned with MLW, just how has that been? Not only to be able to do the producing roles, getting to be a part of the behind the scenes, but also on air with Promociones Dorado and getting to be both roles right there.
It's been a blessing, honestly. It's something that I think I needed for my personal career and just my sense of just being me. I think I needed something like that to come around, and it came at the right time. I think a lot of us have self doubt quite a bit, or we have imposter syndrome, where we accomplish something and we realize, like, man, what am I doing? Like, I don't belong here. But then the more time that I spend with it, the more I realize, like, no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, be it career wise or just personal life. Is life perfect? No, not at all. Um, Not at all, at all. But there's always glimmers of hope that kind of sparkle into our lives, and then sometimes we just have to look up and then see and realize it that it's there. And MLW came at a great time. I'm forever grateful for Court Bauer. I'm forever grateful for Delirious, who's actually the one that connected me with that. Just before he went to TNA full time, he hit me up and he's like, "Hey, would you be interested in coming out to MLW?" I was like, "Yeah, man, of course." So I did a one shot, and then shortly thereafter he hit me up again. He's like, "Hey, do you want to come and do it as a producer?" I was like, "Oh, of course, yeah, yeah, definitely." And then he exited. He went to TNA full time, and I'm forever grateful for Delirious for that. Forever grateful for Court Bauer, who gave me the opportunity, and I'm forever grateful for all the talent that I get to work with. I work with the girls a lot at MLW, and it's been such a pleasure. Janai Kai has been great to be back with. And little side note, I was her very first trainer. So I was her very first trainer, just to see her grow. And also, let me reiterate too. I don't want to be the one that says, "Well, I trained her." Like, no, I was her first trainer. She trained with Mecha Wolf, Santana Garrett. She also trained with Eric Lockhart, who he's down at Booker T's at the moment, and he is amazing. And during my time, and I want to give a big shout out to Eric, because during my time at Pro Wrestling 2.0, if it wasn't for Eric and his brother Andrew, I would have lost my mind a long time ago, because they made training so much fun and always hungry and wanting to learn. So I will always give credit that my sanity in Orlando, for the very little time that I had sanity, was because of Eric Lockhart. So seriously, man, thank you. I love you, dude. And uh, yeah, you were a big reason why I didn't like go crazy earlier in Orlando. Um, but yeah, so going back to Janai, so yeah, so being back with Janai, being back with Selena de la Renta, who again I was one of her trainers in Orlando, alongside Lindsay Dorado was also one of her trainers, um, and a few others. So being that back with them, and then there's another individual that works backstage, Josh Hess. I was one of his trainers in Orlando. So the three, having the three of us at MLW, to me is one of those like full circle type things, and I'm so proud of them. And I'm so proud of Selena too, just like the things that she's overcome. And I told her like not too, a couple months ago. I had a chat with her, and I was telling her, like, to go back and to think of that little kid that you were back then and how you've grown up, and like you're a woman now. This is before obviously that she came out about her pregnancy. Like, you're a woman now. You're a full on grown adult. You're an entrepreneur. You're a businesswoman. Like, I love this, and I love this for you. And then I'm so happy for you. Um, because it's like that meme of Paul Rudd, where he's like, "Look at us. Who would have thought, right?" Um, Not me, but yeah, so like stuff like that. And then also now the last couple of shows, having Dave Marquez, having Christian Cole as one of the announcers, Dave Marquez working backstage, bad dude Tito's Escondido, who we're all from Southern California, we're all from LA. So to have us together, that to me is stuff like that, to me is beautiful. And those are the moments that I'm very grateful for. um that's like added extra bonus. The nice awesomeness is a product that MLW is putting out right now. They're just constantly hitting home runs on their talent and on the matches. And I'm very happy that to be a part of all of that, because I know, and I have that feeling that we're on that cusp of something huge and major with MLW. And then if you haven't been watching it, definitely check it out, because something big is about to happen in the best possible way, and it's going to be something that I think everybody's going to take notice. And
No, can't wait to see that again. I've definitely just seeing again the work that you guys have been putting in, even the opportunities that come with it. It's getting to see so much of La Cultura and so much lucha libre influence as well.
oh yeah, having Mystical,
Maybe,
Mexico part of it, man. Like CMLL. Also, let me backtrack a little bit. Like Zoe Cannon was an MLW several couple months ago. So right, so having some of those guys and having some of the students from Three Legs Wrestling Academy be a part of it, even if it's a small role, just to be showcased and be seen, is crucial. But yeah, but no, yeah, going back to Mystico, right? So I've had that relationship with Mystico Sin Cara for many years. So to be back with him has been such a blessing too. And then making new relationships with new folks from El Consejo. Having a chance to tag team with my idol when I was a kid, Atlantis, was such a dream come true. Back in Chicago, when we were in Chicago a couple months ago, that was unreal. And when I saw the graphic, uh, I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was like a joke, and then as it happened, like they didn't change it, so I was like, "This is really happening." So I was very grateful that I got to tag team with my very first ever wrestling childhood hero of Atlantis, and that was cool. But yeah, man, check out MLW.
No, definitely. Again, check that out. And no, when I saw that, looking at that, when I saw the match, it's one of those where it's insane to see again in a platform like this to see Lucha Libre get that president and get
Yeah.
something like that. That it's like it has a great influence in the company.
Oh
Where
yeah.
you get,
Oh, and dude, that match we went. I think it was like 25 minutes.
yeah, give or
It
take.
was like 20 some minutes that we went. Uh,
For you, how important is that getting to see that in the forefront as well? Because it's one of those where you get to see la cultura in certain aspects in certain places, but getting to see this where it's a big part of MLW, having the Azteca Underground stuff, having again Promociones Dorado, having you guys really get a prominent role as well as part of the company.
my culture is very important to me, man. Like just having that being showcased, that I'm proud of mi raíces, that I'm proud of my sangre, that I'm proud of where I'm from. Soy mexicano y tengo honor y orgullo. The mask, right? So like that's a huge part of it. So just to be able, and especially in an industry, or not even industry, just in business,
Yeah,
to say that a Mexicano is doing this and then he's doing, and we're succeeding. So when I go to certain meetings and then they tell me their names and I go Jesus Rodriguez, um, I say with pride, my name is not Jesus, it's Jesus. I'm not Rodriguez and Rodriguez. All right. So there's pride in that, and I'm proud of everything that we're building. But to have something like that be showcased on a great stage, is great, because also we look back at the time with in WWE, like for those 3 years or so that I was with Alberto. For those 3 years, man, we were on everything, and we were representing Latino America. And I know obviously like Ray is gonna be Ray. Ray, there's no never
yeah, that
never
is
nobody can ever nobody can ever replace Ray. Nobody can ever replace Eddie. Those are two names that nobody will ever replace, and it would be a disservice and injustice to anybody who ever gets compared to them, because nobody can ever fill the shoes.
of
That's
course.
they're a whole yeah, that's a whole mountain in itself. But during that time, Ray was hurt, so they were looking for the next Latino stars, and we just happened to be there. And then they did so much with us, and just to have that presence in Latin America for those 2 3 years that we were there, at the top, man, that was beautiful. And then granted, and I've said this before, where I wish we would have appreciated that more while it was happening and not after the fact. And that's a big something that I've talked to Alberto quite a bit, is like that was our downfall, is that we didn't appreciate it at the time. But we've been very open about that, and I talk to Alberto a lot. Even I talk to him every week, actually. Um, and But yeah, so having that culture being represented is super important, and I'm very proud of that. And I can go off on this whole topic for for a
No,
while, man.
you
Like
definitely.
having the Latino community be at the front is great.
No, it is awesome to see it. It's definitely that would be something if we ever do a part two. We definitely just have to touch on that of just seeing that, but also I have to commend you guys because it was something to see that when you and Alberto were there and at that forefront in WWE as well. You get to see again another face that it's like okay, we get to show there is more to us. It's not because again, like I said, Ray, Eddie, those are two of again they got me into wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Being-
so nobody will ever come close to that.
of course.
They're their own entity.
Of course, no, it's a whole separate category, but it's something to see what you guys were doing, especially getting put in a position like that very very quickly as well, where you got to see it and it worked out so well at that point, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm very proud of that time frame.
No,
Um,
it is awesome to see. But for yourself as well, there was something I wanted to bring up, if you don't mind us touching on a little bit. It's just I look at, especially your social and everything. There's very a positive outlook, and I know you've been someone that, even you could see it in the logo with Three Legacies Wrestling, of just truly, again, that empowering, um, and knowing the battles you've gone. Like you said, we touched on life a bit. How is important for you? How important is it for you, again, to push that positivity as well and try to help others that might be struggling in their own battles that they might not want to open up about, you know?
there's two sides of that. There's a side that like, yes, let's be good to each other. And then there's also a side where we have to be accountable for ourselves, and then we have to like buckle up, and then we have to, I'm not gonna cuss, but like we have to get them up, because nobody else is gonna do it for you. But if we can have people around you that can support and give you that moral push to strive, it's so helpful, because ultimately too, all you need is that one person to believe in you, and then to kind of help you guide and maneuver forward for you to accomplish or realize something, that you're able to do stuff. Um, I think I got into my own head a lot early on, after, especially after I left WWE. I got into my own head a lot, and that was like such a dangerous place. The depression, the anxiety, the suicidal thoughts, the suicidal attempts. Um, I went through all that stuff. Like, and I've made mention before. I've had a gun in my head, that I was like, if I didn't like pause, I would have done it, because I was ready to call it. I was done. I tried the pill situation, and I threw him up afterwards. So like I tried, um, and then there's a whole lot of it too, that like I know what that felt like, and I don't want people to go through that. Um, there was a sense of people giving up on you, um, that I felt, and I hated that feeling. And there, even now, there's still, don't get me wrong, this isn't something that just goes away. It still floats back
Yeah.
every now and then. There's times where like I'm asking for help and nobody does it, and I'm like, man, it's like I'm trying to
Yeah.
plead for help and nobody's giving me help, right? At least in my head, at least, again, because this is such a dangerous place, but it also could be my best friend. Um, so I ultimately too, I've been through that, and I've been through the alcohol, the drugs, the trying to find a void, to fill an empty space, and in my case, in the form of alcohol and drugs. That was like my thing of, how do I feel happy? How do I feel this euphoria for a little bit? And it's fun until it's not. Um, it's fun at first, and then, just like anything else, you get used to it, and you need more and more and more and more, um, and then it gets out of hand. Uh, I go back into those times where like the suicidal thoughts and all that stuff, and then like the two specific times where I was done, dude. Like I was seeing a girl who had a gun, and she left it at the house, and I knew where it was, and then I was just like, you know what, she wasn't there, nobody was home. I was like, who's gonna care? I wrote a letter. The letter's out there somewhere, basically saying my goodbyes and a couple of FUs to a couple of folks. But when I remember when I sat there, man, like it was like I didn't go through with it because I'm still here, uh, but I remember that feeling, and uh, yeah, I don't want anybody to ever go through that. And a lot of it just felt like, because I felt so alone. Um, and also too, I never reached out to anybody, at least not personally. I would post subliminal stuff on Facebook. Like I was upset, or that I was sad, or whatever. I would cuss somebody out, and also too, at the same time, I didn't realize until after that there were people reaching out to me, that they were trying to help, but I was so blind and so like full of self victimizing, that I didn't want to take that help, because it wasn't the help that I wanted. Uh, it was the help that I needed, but it wasn't the help that I wanted, because I was so good at self victimizing. Everything is happening to me because of them. It's their fault. It's life's fault. It's society's fault. It's this person's fault. I never took that time to realize, no, dumbass, it's you. It's me. It's me. Um, And then that's something I wish I would have realized a lot earlier. Um, so I try as much as possible to help out as much as I can. And then if I see somebody that's posting stuff, I'll reach out and be like, hey man, you're all right, just checking up on you. If are you good? You don't have to tell me, and that's totally fine. I'm just reaching out, just if you ever need to chat or whatever. And I'm only telling you because that's the only way I can relate to you because of my personal experience. I will never know exactly what you're going through because I'm not you. I don't know what how you think. I may have an idea of what you're going through, but I don't know exactly what you're going through, and I will never tell you that I know what you're going through because I don't. I'd be lying and I'd be full of BS if I were to say I know what you feel like. I know what you mean. I don't. I'm not you. We all experience life differently, and we all experience reality differently. Just as right now, we're sharing this moment together, but you're processing things differently that I'm putting it out, probably.
Yeah.
Um, because we're experiencing at the same time, but you're intaking and I'm outputting.
Yeah.
So so yeah, so I try to reach out, and it can be overwhelming sometimes, and I totally get it. I can totally get how when you have so much going on at the same time all at once, how it can be an overload. And oftentimes, what we tend to do is just say, "I don't want to deal with it. I'm out."
Yeah.
And you just
It's the quickest to want to shut down and just
yeah,
like shut down everyone, shut
mentally
down the
just check
world.
out.
Yeah.
And what I've had to learn how to do is process and kind of weigh out what's worth my time and effort and what's not. Um, the amount of stuff that like I read, obviously the social media, and people will tell me, "Hey, such and such said this about you." I'm like, "All right." Now back then, I would have been like, "Man, f that guy," and then this and this and this and this, and I would have just gotten in my head. Um, but now it's like, dude, like, all right, like they don't. All right, that's cool. I wish them happiness and I wish them, long lasting life. May they live forever. Um, or even just like, and then I'm not saying that any of us are perfect at all. Um, so none of this is perfect, is a perfect method. Uh, but just like nobody's in control of me but me. Nobody's in control of how I react but me. Uh, and it's hard because and again, life just happens. And there's a lot of life that happened this weekend. And I'm like, no, I have to keep focused. I have to stay the course. That's not, I'll deal with it later or it's not worth my time and effort. This is going to take up a lot of my time. This is going to take up a lot of my peace. And you know how hard I struggle to find the peace that I finally have? That a lot of the stuff that comes into play is not even worth my time and effort to sacrifice my peace. Um, the smile that I had when I got to Niagara Falls this weekend was worth um, just leaving a lot of stuff behind. Because that wasn't worth my time. It wasn't worth my effort. Um, and it's hard though. It's hard. And again, I have to reiterate, it's not something that you just go, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's work. It's work. It's mental gymnastics. It's constant reading and listening to TED talks and the therapist, and it's a lot. So it's a process, but also too at the same time, this is the other side that people don't like to hear sometimes. Is since this is recorded, you're gonna have to bleep me. Sometimes nobody cares. And let me explain that. Uh, the world doesn't care. The world doesn't stop. If you're sad, the world doesn't stop. You still have to pay your bills. If you're mad, okay, that's cool. But that lady that's crossing the street, she doesn't even care that you exist. She doesn't acknowledge. She doesn't know who you are. The world doesn't stop. So why bother stopping for something that nobody's gonna care about? And then that's the other side of the coin that we have to also pay attention to. Yes, it's good that we have emotional help. It's good that we have friends and therapists and people that will listen. It's definitely great that we have that. But at a certain point, we also have to do our part, and we have to get up, and we have to push forward, and we have to be aware and in control of ourselves and our emotions. Because the moment that we let our emotions take control, then we lose. Right. So it's a matter of processing. Um, and again, and this is I have to put it out there again and again and again that this is not something it just happens.
No, definitely. I wish it was that easy because
Yeah, me too.
listening to this, I'm someone that also I've I've had to battle with my own mental health, had to battle with moments like that of just it feels like it's easier to just shut out and also just possibly
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one of those where it
No,
feels like this might be the best solution, unfortunately.
yeah.
And
And oftentimes it's not it's taking the pause has been so important to me, and then not reacting instantly,
yeah,
because back then, dude, like if somebody were to cuss me out or say something about me, I would have just reacted right away and I would start swinging.
yeah,
I didn't care, and obviously that's kind of frowned upon by the law, so I can't be punching people randomly anymore. um, so that's a whole another animal that I've had to just control, is my anger. um, and I think it was Jordan Peterson who said something along the lines of you don't want to be harmless, because then that's a sign of weakness. You want to have that ability to have that monster in you, but learn how to control it. Um, so I know what I've been capable of in the past, as far as, like, when I let that anger out. I know what I can. I don't want to do that. I'm older and I'm wiser, and I'm more in control of myself and my, well, not to the best of my emotions, but I'm a whole lot more in control of my emotions than I was 3 years ago. um, so oftentimes I just have to take a pause and then breathe and then analyze the different routes that I can take in order to avoid certain situations that I would have automatically done 3 4 years ago, of just start swinging. Yeah, because I can't do it anymore, or I don't want to do that anymore.
no, yeah. And again, it's one of those where it comes with that growth, that self growth of having to now again as at the best of your ability to control that. Again, it's one of those where sometimes it is a battle that's lost. Sometimes it's gonna old habits might come out because it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
life,
But
life,
I
life
definitely
building.
don't want to. I don't want it to get to that point though.
Yeah,
So, but that's what I mean. It's just it's
yeah,
it's just the constant therapy, the constant, like, reading, the listening to audio, and then just understanding, putting yourself in a better mental state.
yeah,
Uh, Legit, honestly, going outside.
yeah.
Go outside, go touch the grass, go on a hike, go on a bike ride, go to the gym, run for a little bit. You'll be so tired by the end of it that, like, everything else is minimal.
Yeah.
um and that's been honestly my thing, is just in the mornings I'll wake up and then I'll do what I have to do, and there's this little, like, overhead mountain thingy cliff that oversees a river, and I go and I sit there and I have my coffee. um it's only like 15 minutes from here, so, like, I go and I sit there and I just have my coffee and I just relax and unwind, listen to music, and then just chill. And I go on my day, and this is like around 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. I go with it and I just sit there. um, and I go on about my day. I'm a lot more calm and relaxed, and I'm happier. Um, and then I go back to reality, and life kind of kicks in the butt. But at least I started the day.
No, it started on a brighter note, and again,
And
that's
also
the best.
practicing gratitude has also been very important. Um, Understanding that there's life could always be worse. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have, breath, and I have health. Um, I'm grateful that I have sight. I have able to taste, to smell. I have able to walk. I'm grateful that I'm able to not have to struggle to get food. Um, so, like, practicing gratitude, and I'm grateful that I have a great people around me. Be it my business partner Chris Reisbach, also Bobby Gane, Ronnie Ramon, the students, Zoe, Just Jay, Al Snook, all those guys, and the fact that I still have them in my life, I'm very grateful for. Having guys like Smiley, like Brooke Heller, Hawthorne, that they're in my life. I'm grateful that I have my parents, my sister. So practicing gratitude is so important to all of this. And then I put things into perspective that, oh, you're sad because you didn't get your way on something. All right, then what? You still have breath. You're still alive. You're not struggling for food. Um, you didn't get that iPhone you wanted. You know. So you put things into perspective and you weigh it out in a scale. Granted, there's a lot of things that we're not going to get things our way all the time. But sometimes when things don't work out, they end up working out in the long run. Uh, but I'm grateful for what we have, and I'm grateful for the people around me. I'm grateful for my health, and that I'm not in a mental state that I was a couple years ago, where I wanted to off myself. And um, and that I have people around me that are willing to chat with me if I ever get those feelings again, and they do come back, man. None of this ever goes away. We just learn how to deal with it and manage it a lot better.
No, and I have to say, and again, this is not just because you're here, but truly, I'm grateful that you're still with us. You know, it's one of those, like I said, I've had unfortunately those moments as well. I've had friends that I've had to have those conversations with, and it's one of those where you nailed it on the head. It's one of those where unfortunately it doesn't just go away at times. It's one of those where you still, it's a constant struggle. It's still a fight, but I'm truly happy to be able to have this conversation with you today, and that you're here still doing amazing things and still being willing to again help others grow and stay here as well.
Trying to, we're trying our best.
No, but definitely. But as we wrap this up here, I have one final question for you, and that is for yourself. What is the end goal, brother?
Oh man, that's and ultimately I want this to be as big as possible. Um, every time I look at the clock and I know what time it is right now, but as soon as it hits 11:11, I make my internal wish of building something so that everybody can benefit from. I want to build a platform for a lot of folks to be like, yeah, that's where I came from, um, and that's where I got my big opportunity. Or even if it's not on the wrestling side, that people get connected through our efforts. Either a business relationship that happens because they went to a show, uh, or a personal intimate connection that between strangers that they were at the show, or a reconnection of family members because they went to a show. Right? I want to build something that everybody can be proud of. I want to build something um, that people will remember, because ultimately, at the end of the day, when we all die, man, the only thing that we leave behind is our memories. And I want to leave an everlasting great memory for everybody to be happy about it and enjoy. Um, on my personal side, and I've said this many times before, my end goal is I would love to go back to WWE. And I've said this many times, so it's not like a secret. I would love to go back to WWE eventually. If no, it'll happen. I'm just putting it out to the universe. It'll happen. But in the meantime, honestly, man, I'm very happy with what we have. I'm very happy and proud of Three Legacies Wrestling, and then the effort that we're all putting into this. I'm very grateful for like I said earlier, my business partners and the students of the academy, and I'm very grateful for everything that the universe has bestowed upon us.
No, there you go. And again, we thank you so much for your time. We thank you so much for being here. And again, for the amazing effort and work that you guys have been doing. Once again, everyone, this is kicking off an amazing week here as we'll be talking to many of those great students and many great members of Three Legacies Wrestling there. Tune in as the rest of the week will be insane as we get ready for the Red Rose Rumble 2 stacked event. If you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets. Link will be in the description down below, but also to make sure you stay up to date with all things Three Legacies Wrestling. Make sure you are following them on all their social media right there. That's going to be the Instagram link right there, the X link right there. Links will also be in the description down below. But also make sure you are following Jesus Ricardo right there on all of his social media as well, so you stay up to date on all things as well. Because, like I said, not only is he doing the amazing things with Three Legacies Wrestling, but still his own insane schedule that you're going to want to stay a part of right there as well. But thank you so much for joining us here. And to everyone watching, as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.